Yeah, I kept kind of like, man, I'm gonna be. I don't want to do this anymore. You have to find out some of those budget network. Well, I mean, it's going out in 6 parts. So one of all the folks that go
What's up, everybody? Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for coming to Momocon. You are here for last summer's panel. Thank you so much for coming. If you didn't know, I'm Greg Miller from IGN.com. If you did know, Beyond! I like this crowd. You're a good crowd. But you don't want to see me. I'm overweight and stupid. Please put your hands together for Joel and Ellie, Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson. Here they are. Lovely. It was for the entire panel.
Why did I look up? I immediately went, oh, thank you. Arrogant.
I spent extra time on my hair.
Yes, I did. Many midgets had to die for my hair. Don't ask the process.
It's from a unicorn tail. That's so stupid.
A little bit of unicorn fart.
You didn't even give it a chance.
No,
You're like, I'll try to be funny. Now I'm gonna kill
That's
it.
my hair dryer, is a unicorn farting. Lots of beans I have to feed the unicorn. Gary is his name. Gary the unicorn.
What does Gary the Unicorn sound like, Troy? Guys.
We're off to a great start.
Well, I think when you're talking about subject matter as serious as The Last of Us, it's always great to start with unicorn farts. That's how you, two-part question for both of you to start off with. How does it feel to be in the best game ever on the PlayStation 3? Second part, how does it feel to be in the upcoming best game ever on PlayStation 4?
When we started making this, sometimes you need to wait and see, and you need to, things start to have to kind of come together when you finally realize, oh, this is going to be something that's really, really good. When we sat down and did the first little kind of, Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley, the creative directors, both gave us like their pitch that they gave to Sony. They sat down and they said, so we want to take you guys and walk you through the whole storyline. We got some storyboards, some kind of a concept art that we want to show you guys. And it was probably about an hour and a half, maybe I think. We were at Culver Studios, which is where we shot The Last of Us. And they get done, and they're like, and that's the end. I was like, cool, so why don't we just take 5 real quick, and you guys can go to the bathroom, whatever you need. We're like, yeah, cool, just go outside. And Ashley and I walked outside, and we're like, I'm gonna throw up.
I barfed in some bushes.
It was...
I was like, oh my god.
Because we knew then, and I looked at you and I said, if this thing fails, it's because of us. Because there's no weakness in the story, there's no weakness. Clearly, Naughty Dog knows how to make a game, so we knew...
You all the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yeah, you all the weakest link.
That's me.
So, I mean, it was, we felt pressured from the very, very beginning, but we knew from the very beginning that this was going to be a benchmark game. It was going to, this game was going to say something, it was going to mean something, and we just wanted to do our very best from the very beginning to make sure that we honored that and that we could do our part to live up to it. And I think so far, I mean, people have, especially with what Ellie did, Ashley did, sorry. Might as well. I think we said something in games. Don't you guys think? I mean.
So then, Ashley, how do you go from barfing in the bushes to bringing Ellie to life? Because like, there's a lot of you in that character, isn't there?
Yeah, I think we worked on this for over 3 years.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years.
Well, it was about, by the time the game finally came out, we were just a touch over 3 years, because we started in November of 2010.
Yeah.
And the game came out in June.
Yeah. So I think over that period of time, I mean, already when I saw, you know, sort of the character description for Ellie and the concept art, I was like, I am this girl. Besides the fact that she's 14 and I'm not. But I basically am like a 14-year-old girl because I'm super immature most of the time, all the time. But yeah, how did I go from barfing to playing Ellie?
Is there a lot of character work, done with Neil? Like, do you have long conversations with him as far as like what he thought it was and where you thought the character was?
Yeah, Neil's amazing because every time we would have a shoot day or he would give us, you know, the stuff that we were doing for the week, we would have a rehearsal day and we would get to talk about it with him, and that was incredible because it's like even with other stuff that I've done, you oftentimes you don't get the time to do that, and so you know, with Joel and with Ellie and we had a lot of time with Neil to sort of sit down and really talk about the characters, and yeah, so we all were sort of able to create these people together, and
that didn't just happen while we were shooting too. I mean, Neil and Bruce both were so open. There were many conversations like I would have out on my balcony with Neil, and well into like late at night, really trying to suss out just these specific scenes and what they meant to the story and what they meant to the characters. And it was that way with all of us too. This wasn't just like, okay, let's punch in and do these scenes. These were conversations that were being had off-site and after hours, and we lived with these characters. Not nearly as much as Neil and Bruce did for so long, but I mean, we would have conversations about this. And the greatest thing that came out of this game and this experience is this, because I mean, I love her like a sister. So I mean, that's a
wait, whoa, out that.
But yeah, I mean, it's the relationships that we fostered. It's you know, the friendship that I have with Ashley, and it's the relationship and the friendship that I have with Neil and with Bruce, that you can't replace those things. But yeah, there was a lot of time spent with character work.
So for you then, Troy, like for Ashley, bless you. For Ashley to Ellie, there's a lot of her in it, right? Just from the get-go. Even except 14-year-old girl, she's a 14-year-old girl covered. For you, how do you get into a character like Joel? Like he's seen some shit. Oh, by a round of applause, who has not beaten The Last of Us?
Yes.
Yeah! All right! So Troy, I imagine you've never had your daughter shot in front of you, killed, die in your arms. Like, how do you get into that mindset?
That you know of. It's so funny. I mean, when I walked in for the meeting, the first meeting on this, I said straight away, I was like, so anybody want to talk about the white elephant in the room? The fact that I am the youngest person that you're seeing for this. And even Nell, if you guys see the Grounded documentary, which is brilliant.
And free on Amazon, you have no excuse.
Yeah, it's so good, and it's such a great, it's kind of, you really watch King of Kong, that documentary?
Woo!
Okay. For me, this is not necessarily this demographic, for all those people who didn't care about Donkey Kong, but anybody who, even if you don't like arcade games, it doesn't matter, that story is so compelling. And so obviously here we're all fans of video games, but if you ever wanted a great cross-section of what it takes to create a game from the ground up and the process that goes into it, it's so compelling and so interesting to watch. But when I walked in, I was like, I know who this guy is, but you need to get past all this. And there was one specific line in the audition slides and the character description, because they'll tell you how tall he is, and they'll give you a little brief background and what he means to the story kind of thing. There was nothing about him being from Texas that I remember, that just was who Joel was to me. And there was one line in it that says he has few moral lines left to cross. And that to me, more than anything, was the Rosetta Stone that unlocked everything for me, because what does that mean to a man for that to be able to be said about him? If you have few moral lines left to cross, you've seen some shit. And he's just whenever we started shooting and stuff, I mean, we have We had so much fun, and we had so much levity, and there were so many jokes, and Ashley's whole thing, we would shoot the scene, and then we would have to do a audio pass, just like separate it out so we could get clean audio, just in case we needed to use it. And they would always say, okay guys, this is a wild take, and out of nowhere, Ashley said this.
We're going wild! And then like it turned into this weird thing, like I had a cauldron in front of me and I was like stirring something.
And so,
I think because we would just get really loopy and tired, I was like, we're going wild!
but it became this thing at the very end. It was like, okay guys, we're good, we're good. And normally like on film, he would say checking the gate, which means we're basically moving on, we're just making sure there's nothing wrong with the camera or whatever. And it was like, okay guys, I think that's it. Ashley, she's like, we're going wild! So we had all this fun, but it was to offset the fact that that we did some really heavy work. And whenever you step into that role of Joel, people, and we said this before in other panels, like, do the voice of Joel. It's like, well, it's not just like a voice that I do. There's a character that is Joel. He's a person to me that exists. And when you slip into that, that's just how you sound. It's not like I'm doing a voice right now, I'm just talking like me, and it's kind of the same thing. I know that sounds really Meisner and kind of actory, high-heady, but it's the truth. And Joel is heavy, heavy, heavy. And that scene specifically, again, if you watch the Grounded documentary, that scene messed with me, man. It really jacked me up. I was done by the end of the day, and I remember walking off stage and going outside of the parking lot and calling my wife and when you decide that you're going to jump over that fence that your mind puts up to protect yourself from all the
Mute your fucking phones.
shit, dude.
Thank you!
We experience trauma in our life, and we're there in it, and then